"Take off your helmet," the alien queen ordered. Then she froze when she saw the human. Every species in the nearby stars feared it. Inside this great ship, thousands of alien beings worked in shining halls and bright control rooms. They believed they were the strongest in the galaxy. They believed no one could challenge them. But today was different. Today they had captured a human. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Many alien races whispered strange stories about them. Some said humans were wild. Some said humans were weak. Some said humans were brave. No one really knew the truth. Most aliens had never even seen one in real life. That was why everyone on the ship was curious. Soldiers, officers, and even servants tried to get small glimpses of the strange visitor being escorted through the halls. Commander Elias Ward walked slowly between two alien guards. His steps were calm. His hands were tied with bright energy cuffs, but his back was straight. His helmet covered his face completely. The helmet was smooth and dark, hiding his eyes and expression. Only the symbol of Earth forces glowed gently on the side of it. His heart beat a little faster, but he did not show fear. He knew many lives depended on his actions. He had been on a rescue mission when everything went wrong. His ship had been surrounded by alien fighters and disabled. He had made a choice to surrender so his team could escape. It was a hard choice, but he stood by it. He was ready for whatever was going to happen. The guards led him through tall, shining doors into a giant throne hall. The throne hall was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It was huge, with a high glass ceiling that showed the stars above like a moving ocean of light. Large pillars shimmered with crystals that changed color slowly. Strange banners with unknown symbols hung from the walls. The air felt heavy, as if power itself lived here. At the far end of the hall stood the throne. It was made of crystal and living metal, shaped like growing wings. Sitting on it was the alien queen. She was tall and graceful. Her skin shone like smooth stone under sunlight. Her eyes were bright and wise, full of command and thought. She wore a crown that glowed softly, and a long royal robe that seemed almost alive, moving gently like calm water. Around her stood her royal court, advisors, generals, and nobles from different alien races. They all turned to see the human. The hall fell silent. For a moment, only the soft hum of the ship could be heard. The guards stopped and pushed Elias to the center of the hall. He stayed balanced and steady. He slowly lifted his head toward the queen. Even though no one could see his face through the helmet, they could feel his calmness. They could sense something strong and steady inside him. The queen looked at him carefully. So this is a human, she thought. He did not look as strange as she had expected. His body seemed simple. He wore a suit of armor, not too thick, not too thin. But there was something in the way he stood, something honest, something confident, something brave. She did not feel fear from him. She felt strength. One of the generals stepped forward. He spoke proudly, his voice echoing through the chamber. "This is the human commander who dared to challenge our fleet. He is the first of his kind to stand before you, my queen." Whispers filled the hall. "So small, so calm. Does he not fear us?" The queen raised her hand slightly and the hall became silent again. She leaned forward on her throne, studying Elias more closely. She could not see his face, and that bothered her. Faces told stories. Eyes told truths. Without seeing his face, she could not read him. "Human," she said, her voice strong but smooth. "You stand in my court in the heart of my empire. You have lost. You are alone. Remove your helmet." Everyone turned their attention to Elias. The order echoed in the air. "Remove your helmet." Part of the court expected him to panic. Others expected him to refuse. Some thought he would beg, but Elias did none of these things. For a short moment he did not move. He stood still, thinking carefully. He knew that removing his helmet meant showing himself not only to the queen, but to the entire alien empire. He knew that in this moment, humans would be judged. Every rumor about humans would either be proven wrong or proven right. He felt a heavy responsibility on his shoulders, but he also knew he could not hide. He had nothing to be ashamed of. He was proud of being human. He slowly nodded. "If that is your command," he said calmly, his voice clear and steady behind the helmet, "I will obey." The queen watched closely. Her eyes did not blink. Elias lifted his hands, even though the energy cuff still rested around his wrists. The guards tensed a little, worried he might try something, but he did not resist. He simply reached up and placed his fingers on the sides of his helmet. Every alien in the hall leaned forward. Some held their breath. Even the queen's calm expression changed slightly. She felt an unexpected curiosity growing inside her. What kind of being could stand so calm in front of so much power? Why did he not tremble? Why did he not show fear? The helmet unlocked with a soft click. Slowly, Elias lifted it away. The hall filled with silent shock. The queen's eyes widened just a little. She did not move. For a long heartbeat, she simply stared. She had expected something strange, maybe something frightening, maybe something weak, maybe something ugly or strange in a way she could not understand, but what she saw was so human. A face marked with small signs of hardship and experience, not broken but strong. His eyes were steady, full of life, emotion, and quiet fire. They did not show hate. They did not show fear. They showed strength, hope, and calm understanding. His expression was peaceful yet powerful. There was warmth in his gaze. There was courage. There was dignity. The queen felt something she had not expected: respect. The court did not speak. Many aliens froze. They had expected fear. But this human stood tall, even without armor. His helmet was gone, but his spirit stayed strong. He did not bow his head. He did not look away. He simply looked back at the queen with honesty. For a moment, the queen forgot she was a ruler. She forgot the throne, the court, and the power around her. She simply looked at another living being who stood proud in front of her. A being who, despite being captured, still shone with inner strength. He should feel small, she thought quietly, but he does not. He looks equal. Elias spoke softly, but his words carried across the hall. "You asked to see the face of a human," he said, "so here I am." His voice held no challenge, only truth. No one moved. No one laughed. No one mocked him. The queen closed her eyes for a second, then opened them again. Something inside her began to change, though she did not yet understand what. Humans were not what she had been told. They were not weak. They were not wild. They were something else entirely, something rare. Something dangerous in a different way. Not dangerous because of weapons, but dangerous because of heart. And the queen knew in that single silent moment that this meeting was only the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same after this. And neither would she. The throne hall was still silent after Elias removed his helmet. It was a silence that felt heavy, like the pause before a great change. Many aliens in the royal court had never seen a human before. Now that they had, they did not know what to think. They stared at his face, expecting fear, but all they saw was calm strength. The alien queen continued looking at him. Her bright eyes studied every small detail: the steady breath, the relaxed shoulders, the quiet courage shining in his eyes. She felt something unusual in her heart. It was not anger, it was not pride, it was something closer to wonder. Finally, she spoke. "You are very calm for someone who has lost everything," she said softly, but her voice carried across the hall. Elias did not answer immediately. He understood that every word he spoke mattered. Every sentence would shape how the alien saw his entire species. He had to choose wisely. He lifted his head slightly. "I do not believe I have lost everything," he replied gently. Whispers rose again in the hall. "How can he say that? He is a prisoner. He is surrounded." The queen raised her hand again and silence returned. "How have you not lost everything?" she asked, curious rather than angry. "Because I still have my will," Elias said. "I still have hope. As long as I stand and breathe, I have something left. Humans hold on to hope even when the situation looks dark. We do not give up easily." The queen leaned back slowly, thinking about his words. In her empire, strength meant control, force, and power. Hope was considered weak. Dreams were considered foolish. Yet when she looked at him, this so-called weak idea felt strangely powerful. She turned to one of her advisors, a tall being with crystal skin and wise eyes. "Is it true?" she asked quietly. "Are humans known for this?" The advisor nodded slowly. Many reports say humans do not let fear control them. They keep moving forward. They continue even when others would stop. Another noble spoke up. Some even say they smile in difficult times. The queen looked back at Elias. "And why?" she asked. "Why keep standing? Why hope? Why risk your life for others?" Elias thought for a moment. His voice stayed calm, but there was warmth in it now. "Because we care," he said. "Humans care about family, friends, and even strangers. We care about what is right. We care about the future. When we stand, we are not standing only for ourselves. We are standing for everyone we love." The court grew quiet again. Most of the aliens had never thought of strength in that way. To them, strength meant fear and control. But this human spoke of strength through kindness, responsibility, and courage. It was different. It was strange. Yet it sounded beautiful. The queen studied his eyes carefully. "You surrendered to us," she said. "You allowed yourself to be captured. Many would call that weakness. Why did you do it?" Elias did not hesitate. "My team was in danger," he said. "They needed time to escape. If I stayed free, they might not have survived, so I made a choice. I could not save everyone, but I could save someone." That was enough reason to stay. A soft wave of quiet awe passed through the hall. "You risked yourself for others," one alien whispered. "That is unusual," another muttered. "Humans protect each other," Elias said. "Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it is scary. But we do it anyway." The queen felt something tighten gently in her chest. In her world, no leader would surrender for their people. They expected loyalty, but they did not give it back. They valued obedience, not love. The idea of a leader choosing to suffer to protect others was new to her. "Did you know what would happen to you if we captured you?" she asked. "Yes," Elias answered honestly. "I knew I could be judged. I knew I might never see my home again, but I still chose it. Because a life lived only for myself is not the kind of life I want." The queen stared at him quietly. There was no pride in his voice. He was not trying to impress anyone. He was simply telling the truth. That truth felt heavier than any weapon she had ever seen. For a moment she imagined what her empire would look like if it had this kind of spirit. A world where leaders cared. A world where strength did not come from fear but from courage and kindness. It felt impossible, yet beautiful. One general stepped forward, looking frustrated. "My queen, he is trying to make humans look noble," the general said. "We must not forget he is still our prisoner. His words may sound gentle, but we must be careful." The queen nodded slightly. The general was right in a way. She could not let emotions control her judgment. She was still a ruler. She still had a duty to her empire, but she also knew that something important was happening here. She turned back to Elias. "You speak of hope," she said. "You speak of caring. But how can such things conquer fear? How can they stand against power?" Elias smiled softly. It was not a proud smile. It was a warm, human smile. "Power can control bodies," he said, "but hope controls hearts. When fear rules, people obey. When hope leads, people choose. And a choice made from hope is stronger than a command made from fear." Those words echoed in the queen's thoughts. She remembered long years of ruling. She remembered faces that bowed not with respect but with fear. She remembered silence that was not peace but quiet obedience. For the first time she wondered if her empire was truly strong or simply afraid to question her. She did not like that thought, but she could not ignore it. She spoke again, her voice softer now. "Human," she said, "your eyes, they do not look like the eyes of a defeated being. They look like the eyes of someone who still believes in something greater than himself. What is it that you believe in so strongly?" Elias took a slow breath. "I believe in growth," he answered. I believe no one is born perfect. No species, no empire, not even humans. We make mistakes, we learn, we fall, and then we stand again. I believe life is not about control, it is about becoming better than we were yesterday. His words were simple, but they reached deeply into the queen's mind. Becoming better. Her empire had never thought like that. They did not think of improvement. They only thought of staying powerful, staying feared, staying unchallenged. But staying was not the same as growing. She rested her hand slowly against her throne. For the first time she felt unsure, not in a weak way, but in a thoughtful way. One of the younger nobles whispered quietly, almost to themselves, "Humans are different." Elias heard that and smiled again, this time with a tiny bit of humor. "Yes," he said softly, "we are different. Sometimes we argue, sometimes we fail, sometimes we are stubborn. But when we stand together, we can be amazing. We build, we heal, we help, and we keep moving forward." The queen looked at him for a long moment. She could sense there was still much more to understand. This human was not just a prisoner. He was a living example of something she had never truly seen before, a spirit that refused to be small, even when surrounded. Her voice was gentle when she finally spoke again. "I expected to meet a being who would fear me," she admitted quietly. "Instead, I have met someone who challenges my thoughts just by standing there." Elias bowed his head slightly, not in submission but in respect. "I am simply being human," he replied. The queen felt that strange feeling again, a feeling close to admiration. She turned to her court. "Today is not what we expected," she said calmly. "We did not simply capture a member of a new species. We have discovered something meaningful, something we must understand before we act." The court members nodded slowly. Some still looked unsure. Some were curious, some were quietly impressed, but one thing was clear: none of them would ever see humans the same way again. The queen returned her gaze to Elias. "You will not be treated as a simple prisoner," she declared. "From this moment you are a guest under watch. You will be given a room, food, and time. I want to learn more. I want to understand your kind better." A soft murmur of surprise rolled through the hall. A guest. Not a subject, not a danger. A guest. Elias felt a quiet relief inside his heart. Not for himself, but for what this meant. This was more than survival. This was a chance for peace, a chance to build trust, a chance to show the galaxy what humans truly were. "I am thankful," he said kindly, "and I will answer honestly. I do not want to be your enemy. I would rather be your friend." The queen nodded slowly. "We shall see," she said softly. But inside her heart something was already changing. The image she once held of humans as small and unimportant was gone. In its place stood a new truth. Humans were strong in a way her empire had never known. And as Elias was gently escorted out of the throne hall, not as a threat, but as someone important, the queen watched him go, thoughtful and silent. She knew one thing for certain: this meeting was not an accident. It was destiny, and the real story was only beginning. The halls of the alien ship were quiet after Elias' audience with the queen. The court was still talking quietly among themselves, but Elias was taken to a room that felt more like a suite than a prison cell. The walls were made of smooth metal and glowing panels that changed color slowly, giving the room a calm, almost peaceful feeling. Though it was alien, it was not uncomfortable. He was allowed to remove his restraints, and his armor was returned. Elias took a deep breath. For the first time since the capture, he felt a moment of relief, but he could not rest completely. He had a duty. He had a duty to his people, to his crew, and to his species. The queen had not only spared him, but had invited him to speak, to teach, to explain humanity. This was not just about him anymore. It was about the reputation of humans across the galaxy. He walked slowly to the window, looking out at the stars. They stretched endlessly, shining like millions of tiny lanterns in the blackness of space. The ship moved steadily through them, a giant silent shadow among the stars. Elias thought about Earth, about home, about his people, his team, and the countless humans who had never left their planet but dreamed of the stars. He felt pride in humanity. Not pride in weapons, not pride in armies, not pride in dominance, but pride in the human spirit. The unyielding determination, the courage to face impossible odds, the willingness to sacrifice for others, and the hope that burned even in the darkest times. The door slid open quietly and a small alien servant entered carrying a tray with food. Elias nodded politely. "Thank you," he said. The servant paused, studying him. "I do not understand your kind," the alien said in careful words. "You do not show fear, yet you are alone. You do not bow, yet you are captured. You speak of care and hope in a world of power. Why is your species like this?" Elias smiled softly. "Because we have no choice," he said. "We are not the strongest. We do not dominate. We do not conquer easily. But we have something stronger than force. We have heart, we have will, we have hope. And we fight for each other even when the odds are against us. That is what makes us survive." The servant tilted its head, unsure. "And you believe this is enough? Against fleets and weapons that can destroy worlds?" "Yes," Elias said calmly. "Because strength is not only in weapons. Strength is in people who refuse to give up, in people who protect others, in people who keep moving forward even when fear surrounds them. That is why humans can face the impossible." The alien left quietly, thoughtful. Elias sat down, taking small bites of the strange but edible food. He knew that soon, someone from the Queen's court would come to speak with him again. The aliens were curious. They wanted to understand, and Elias was ready to show them. The next visitor arrived after several hours. A young alien scholar entered, carrying a datapad and glowing tablets. She introduced herself with a soft bow. "I am Leora," she said. "I am assigned to observe and learn from you. My queen is intrigued." Elias nodded. "I am happy to share what I can," he said. "I hope it helps you understand us better." Leora smiled faintly. "Then let us begin." For hours, Elias spoke with Leora. He explained the basics of human life, culture, history, and values. He spoke of Earth's diversity, different lands, languages, and peoples who often disagreed but still found ways to work together. He spoke of human innovation, creativity, and problem-solving. He spoke of exploration, science, art, and compassion. Leora listened, amazed. "Your species is extraordinary," she said quietly. "Your stories are filled with struggle and hardship, yet you continue to grow. You forgive and heal, yet you protect fiercely. How can such a species survive the galaxy?" Elias leaned forward slightly. "Because we have no choice," he said again. "Because giving up is not an option. Because we care, and care gives purpose. Our strength comes from connections, not domination. From hope, not fear. And from the belief that even the smallest person can make a difference." The young scholar nodded slowly, writing notes carefully. "Your queen spoke of hope," Leora said. "She did not understand before, but I see it now. It is in you." Elias smiled gently. "It is in all humans," he said. "Some hide it, some lose it, but it is always there. Even when we fail, we try again. Even when we are captured, we do not give up. Even when everything seems lost, we find a way forward." As the hours passed, Leora grew more curious. She asked about humans' approach to leadership, teamwork, and conflict. Elias spoke openly, sharing examples from his missions, from his experiences with his crew, and from history. He did not boast. He only told the truth. The truth was stronger than any weapon in the galaxy. By the time Leora left, she was inspired. She had witnessed something she had never expected from any species. A courage that was quiet but unshakable, a strength that was soft but unbreakable, and a will that could not be defeated. Word of Elias' conversation soon reached the queen. She summoned him again to the throne hall. When he entered, the air felt different. There was no tension, no expectation of fear. The queen looked at him with curiosity and respect. "You speak of hope and care," she said, "but your words are only one part. I want to see it in action." Elias understood. "Then I will not disappoint," he said. The queen gave a small smile. "You will face a challenge, not to test you physically but to see your spirit." She waved her hand, and a large display appeared in the hall. It showed a distant planet in the Dominion's control, under threat from a natural disaster. The people there, humans, were in danger. A chance had appeared to help, but it would be difficult and risky. Elias studied the display carefully. The Queen's point was clear. This was a test of humanity's spirit. Could one human's courage and will make a difference, even across great distances? Could he inspire others to act, even without fear of failure? He nodded. "We will help," he said simply. The Queen looked at him, curious. "Why? You are not from there. You are not obliged to act." Elias' eyes were steady. "Because we care. Because helping others is not about obligation. It is about what is right. Humans do not always succeed, but we try, and trying is the start of all victories." The court fell silent. They had heard many species claim courage, but Elias spoke with the truth of experience. They could feel it in his words. They could feel it in his calm determination. The Queen leaned forward. "Then you will lead a team. You will guide them, inspire them, and show us what humans can do when they refuse to give up." Elias bowed slightly. "Then I will lead." The next hours were filled with preparation. He studied the situation carefully, calculated risks, and created a plan that relied not on force, but on clever thinking, coordination, and resilience. He communicated with the humans in danger, calming them and giving clear instructions. His voice carried authority but also hope. The mission began. From the Dominion's ship, Elias guided the human team remotely. They faced challenges, crumbling buildings, dangerous terrain, and unexpected obstacles, but Elias remained calm. He encouraged them, reminded them of their strengths, and inspired them to act together. Hours passed. Slowly, the humans succeeded. They saved many lives. They adapted to changing situations. They worked as one, guided by Elias' careful leadership. And when the last group was safe, Elias allowed himself a small, proud smile. The Queen observed silently. She did not speak. She did not need to. The results were clear. Humans were capable of more than any empire could predict. Their strength did not come from weapons or power. It came from courage, care, and will. When Elias returned to the ship, the Queen finally spoke. "I see it now," she said softly. "Your spirit, your determination, your heart. Humans are stronger than I imagined. Not in the way I expected, but in a way that changes everything." Elias bowed. "We are not perfect," he said, "but we try, and trying is always worth more than giving up." The Queen studied him carefully. For the first time in centuries, she felt uncertainty, and it was not weakness. It was curiosity. It was awe. It was respect. And deep inside, she knew that this human had not only survived captivity but had changed her view of the galaxy forever. And in that moment, Elias realized something important too. Humans had survived for so long not because they were the strongest physically, but because they refused to stop believing. They refused to stop helping. They refused to stop moving forward. And that truth, that simple truth, was more powerful than any weapon in the universe. The throne hall was quiet now, but the silence felt different than before. It was no longer a hall of dominance and fear. It had become a hall of reflection. The alien queen sat on her throne, her hands resting lightly on the crystal arms. Her gaze was fixed on the stars beyond the great window, yet her mind was deep inside thoughts she had never allowed before. Elias had returned from the human rescue mission. Though he had not left the Dominion's ship physically, his actions had reached across the galaxy. He had led humans to save their own people, proving not only courage but the power of planning, patience, and hope. The Queen had watched it all through her communication screens. Every small decision he made, every calm word of encouragement, every risk he calculated with precision, it all left an impression she could not ignore. Her advisors and generals whispered quietly among themselves. Many were puzzled. The human is clever, one general admitted. He does not fight like any species we know. He inspires others to act. It is strange. The queen spoke, her voice calm but strong. This is not strange, this is truth. Humanity's strength is not measured in weapons or fleets. It is measured in spirit. The court fell silent. They had heard of brave species before, but nothing like this. For centuries, the Dominion had ruled by fear. Strength was always measured by domination, by the number of planets controlled, by the size of the fleet. But here was a human, one being, changing the outcome of an entire operation without a single alien weapon. The queen leaned forward slightly. "Tell me," she said to one of her younger advisors, "what do we know of humans besides their strength and stubbornness?" The advisor hesitated. "Reports are incomplete, Your Majesty. They adapt quickly. They protect each other. They create solutions from unexpected places. They learn, even from failure, but we never expected them to act like this." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Because we never tried to understand them. We only tried to conquer or contain them." A hush fell across the room. The advisors had not heard such honesty from the Queen before. She rarely admitted the limitations of the Dominion, but Elias had made her see something new. Something dangerous, not in violence but in possibility. The Queen rose from her throne and walked slowly among the court. Her robe flowed behind her like liquid crystal. "We have ruled through fear for centuries," she said. "We have believed that power alone can maintain control. We have believed that strength is weapons, numbers, and domination. Yet one human, one single human, has shown us that we may be wrong." A general cleared his throat nervously. "Your Majesty, he is only one being. Our empire spans thousands of worlds. Can one human truly make a difference?" The Queen paused and looked directly at him. "Do you not see?" she asked. "He has already made a difference. Not by defeating us in battle, not by breaking our fleets, but by showing the truth about his species. By showing what courage, hope, and unity can achieve. And we," she gestured to the court, "have seen only the beginning." There was quiet murmuring. The Queen's words were not commands, they were revelations. Something inside the court shifted. For the first time, some of them wondered if their belief system, everything they had been taught, might be flawed. The Queen returned to her throne, sitting with quiet authority. "Prepare a council," she said. "I wish to learn more about humans, not as a subject but as a species. I want reports of their culture, their values, and their achievements. I want to understand why one human can inspire so much change." "Yes, Your Majesty," the advisors replied, though some still looked confused. Alone later, the Queen reflected on Elias. She remembered his calm face, his steady eyes, and the quiet authority in his voice. She remembered how he had spoken to her court with honesty, not arrogance, and how he had inspired his own species to act even under great danger. She realized that the Dominion had underestimated humans not because they were weak, but because no one had tried to understand them. She rose and walked to the observation window. The stars moved slowly past the ship. She imagined the countless humans across the galaxy, facing impossible odds every day. She imagined their courage, their unity, and their determination. She realized that humans could survive anything, not because they had the strongest weapons, but because they refused to give up. She thought of her empire, built on power and fear. She thought of the systems she had enforced for centuries. And for the first time, she wondered if there was more to strength than domination, if there was more to leadership than fear. A knock at the chamber door pulled her from her thoughts. Leora, the young scholar, entered quietly. "Your Majesty," she said, "the human continues to impress. He is not only intelligent but wise. He inspires loyalty and courage in others. The reports show his species could challenge the balance of power in ways we did not expect." The Queen nodded. "I see it. I have watched him. He does not fight with force alone. He fights with heart, courage, and will. He is dangerous, not because he kills, but because he inspires." Leora tilted her head. Do you believe that we underestimated humans? The queen remained silent for a moment, her thoughts heavy. We did, she admitted finally. We judged them by the wrong standards. We measured them by strength alone. We believed fear was enough to control them. Yet one human has already changed that perception. Her mind returned to Elias. She remembered how he had led humans to save others, how he had remained calm under pressure, how he had spoken with honesty and hope. She realized that humans were capable of more than any empire could predict. For the first time, the queen considered the idea of learning from humans, not ruling over them. Could the Dominion grow stronger by understanding their spirit? Could she reshape her empire to respect courage, hope, and unity, rather than fear and obedience? She closed her eyes briefly. Change was never easy. The Dominion had been built on control for centuries. To challenge its foundation was dangerous yet necessary, and Elias, the human, had shown her the possibility. The next day, Elias was summoned again to the throne hall. This time the atmosphere was different. There was no tension of power. There was curiosity. There was a quiet respect. The queen looked at him directly. You have challenged my beliefs, she said. Not by force, not by argument, but by being yourself. Your courage, your wisdom, and your spirit have forced me to reconsider what I thought I knew. Elias bowed slightly. I am honored, he said. I do not wish to challenge for the sake of conflict. I only wish to show the truth of my species. We survive because we care, because we hope, and because we refuse to give up. The queen studied him carefully. She realized that Elias was not boasting. He spoke with honesty, and that honesty was stronger than any weapon she had ever encountered. You speak of hope and unity, she said, yet your empire is vast and divided. How do you achieve this with so many differences among your kind? Elias smiled faintly. We are not perfect, he admitted. We argue, we fail, we make mistakes. But we also try to understand each other. We work together when it matters most, and we stand for what is right even when it is difficult. That is how we endure. The queen nodded slowly. She could feel the weight of his words. They were simple yet profound. They spoke of strength in a way her empire had never considered. You have not only survived captivity, she said, but you have taught me something important. Humans are not measured by physical strength or weapons. They are measured by courage, will, and heart. Elias bowed again. That is all we have to offer, your majesty, but it is enough. The queen rose from her throne, moving slowly toward him. Your spirit is remarkable, she said softly. You are not like any prisoner I have ever known. You have shown me that strength comes in many forms and that courage and hope can change the galaxy. Elias met her gaze. Thank you, he said simply. I only speak the truth of my people. The queen turned back to her court. Prepare for a new council, she said. We will learn from this human and perhaps from others like him. It is time to consider a new way of leadership, one that values courage, hope, and unity, not just power and fear. The court was silent again, but this time the silence was filled with possibility. The queen's words marked the beginning of a change in the Dominion, a change that would be shaped not by weapons, but by ideas, courage, and the human spirit. And Elias, standing quietly in the throne hall, understood the truth of his mission. Humans had survived and thrived for millennia, not because they were the strongest, but because they refused to surrender their hearts. And now, even an empire built on fear would have to learn the same lesson. The throne hall of the Dominion's great ship was alive with a quiet tension that had never existed before. The alien queen sat on her crystal throne, surrounded by her council, generals, and advisors. She looked at the human, Elias Ward, and for the first time she felt something she had rarely experienced in her long reign: respect. Not forced, not commanded, but genuine admiration. Elias stood calmly in the center of the hall. He had been summoned to speak before the court once more. This was not a meeting of judgment, not a test, not a warning. This was something new, something that could change the galaxy. The court watched him with curiosity, and even a few skeptics were silently intrigued. The human had already done what no alien had expected. He had challenged centuries of belief. The queen spoke first. "Elia's ward," she said, her voice steady but warm. "You have survived not only our capture but our judgment, our scrutiny, and our expectations. You have shown courage, intelligence, and honesty. You have saved lives, inspired loyalty, and challenged my understanding of strength. You have made us all rethink what we believed." Elias bowed slightly. "I only did what any human would do," he said humbly. "I did what I believed was right. I tried to protect others, to lead them safely, and to show the truth of my species. That is all." The queen studied him for a long moment. She could see the calm determination in his eyes. She could feel the truth in his words. Humans, she realized, were not strong because of weapons or fleets. They were strong because they believed, they hoped, and they acted for the good of others. That was a kind of power she had never fully understood. She raised her hand slightly, signaling silence in the hall. "You speak of your species' courage and will," she said. "But I wish to know more. Tell us, human, why your people continue to fight, to survive, to care, even when odds are impossible." Elias paused for a moment. He thought carefully, choosing his words. "Because we have each other," he said. "Because even when the world is dark, we find light in people we care about. Because giving up is never an option. Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, but because we refuse to stop trying. Every life matters, every choice matters, and every act of courage inspires the next. That is what makes us strong." A soft murmur ran through the court. Some of the aliens nodded slowly. Others exchanged curious glances. They had ruled for centuries by strength and fear. Now they were confronted with a species that measured strength differently, a strength that grew from heart and will, not domination. The queen leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "You speak of courage and hope. You speak of unity and care. And yet you are alone here, surrounded by my empire. How can I trust that humans are not a threat?" Elias looked straight into her eyes. "Trust is built by actions, not words," he said. "I have shown you what humans are capable of, not by threatening you, not by fighting you, but by leading, protecting, and guiding others. If you choose to observe, you will see more. If you choose to oppose, you will see that courage does not bow easily. That is the truth of humanity." The queen was silent. She had expected defiance or fear. She had expected weakness or cunning. Instead, she found honesty, clarity, and the quiet confidence of a species that refused to surrender its values. That was more powerful than any weapon she had ever commanded. Finally, she spoke. "I have seen enough. You have proven that humans are not weak. You have proven that their strength lies in their hearts, not their fleets. And you, Elias Ward, have shown that one human can inspire more than entire armies." She turned to the court. "From this day forward, let it be known that the Dominion will not judge humans solely by conquest or fear. They are a species of courage, of unity, and of hope. And we must learn from them, not only fight them." A wave of surprise and curiosity passed through the council. Many had never imagined that their queen would speak this way. Many had never considered that a single human could challenge centuries of tradition and belief. Yet the truth was undeniable. Elias had done it. The queen raised her hand, signaling Elias to step closer. "Human," she said softly, "I offer not only your release but an opportunity to form an alliance between your species and mine. Not as rulers and subjects, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals working together for a greater purpose." Elias' heart raced slightly, but he maintained his calm expression. "I am honored," he said. "An alliance built on trust, understanding, and respect could change the galaxy. Humans seek peace, when possible, and courage when needed. If this alliance can bring protection and growth for both our peoples, we will gladly take it." The queen nodded. "Then it is settled," she said. "You will return to your people. You will teach them what you have learned here, and you will act as a bridge between our worlds. And in return, I will ensure that humans are recognized as a force of courage and inspiration, not only as another species in the galaxy. The court murmured again, but this time it was not confusion. It was anticipation. Something new was beginning. Something that could change the entire balance of the stars. Elias looked around the hall. He had never imagined standing in an alien throne room, commanding respect and attention from beings who had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Yet here he was. Not because he had weapons or fleets or armies, but because of his courage, his honesty, and the spirit of his species. For the first time in many days, he felt a moment of personal pride, not for himself alone, but for humanity. His species had survived countless challenges, from planetary disasters to interstellar conflicts. They had endured because they refused to stop trying, because they refused to give up hope. And now they were on the brink of recognition in the galaxy as a people of heart, courage, and determination. The Queen studied him once more. "Elias Ward," she said, "you have done more than survive. You have changed the way I view the galaxy. I will not forget this." Nor will the Dominion. Elias bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best to honor this trust, and I hope that humans can continue to show the strength of their spirit to your empire and to all who doubt us." The Queen gave a small smile. It was not a smile of command, but of understanding. "I believe you will, human, and perhaps in time you will teach us all that true strength comes not from fear, but from courage, hope, and the willingness to protect others." The next days were filled with preparation. Elias met with human representatives and Dominion advisors. Together, they discussed trade, protection, exploration, and shared learning. It was slow at first. Suspicion still existed. Fear still lingered in the hearts of some Dominion members. But Elias' calm courage, his honesty, and his willingness to lead by example began to shift attitudes. He shared stories of Earth, of human innovation and creativity, of courage in adversity, and of teamwork across diversity. He demonstrated that humans were not only brave and resilient, but also adaptable, compassionate, and willing to sacrifice for the greater good. The Dominion scholars, generals, and even rulers began to realize that the galaxy was larger than their own empire. That strength did not belong to domination alone, that hope, courage, and unity could challenge the very foundations of power. One evening, the Queen called Elias to her private chamber. She looked at him thoughtfully. "You have done more than I imagined," she said. "You have shown the value of courage and hope. You have taught me that leadership is not only command, but understanding and compassion. And you have reminded me that one being, one spirit can make a difference, even against great odds." Elias nodded. "I only speak the truth of my species. Humans survive and thrive because we refuse to give up. We care for each other, we hope for better, and we act even when it is difficult. That is all." The Queen smiled softly. "Then we will work together. Not as conquerors and subjects, but as allies. Humans will be recognized, respected, and valued across the galaxy. And perhaps, one day, others will learn the same lesson. That strength is more than power. It is courage, heart, and hope." Elias felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. Not because he had won a battle, or captured an empire, or defeated an enemy, but because he had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. Their true strength lay in their hearts and spirits. Their courage, compassion, and hope could inspire even the oldest, most powerful empires to change. As he left the chamber, he looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of unknown worlds, challenges, and opportunities. He thought of humanity, small but unyielding, facing every danger with courage and hope. He realized that no matter the obstacles humans would endure, they would survive, they would inspire. And across the galaxy, even the Dominion would never forget the lesson of a single human who stood calmly, honestly, and courageously before their queen, and change the course of history forever. The queen watched him go, thoughtful and silent. She had expected to meet a prisoner. Instead, she had met a teacher, a guide, and a living example of what it meant to be strong in ways the Dominion had never known. And in that moment, she understood something simple, yet profound. Humans were not only capable of survival, they were capable of inspiring greatness in others, and the galaxy would never be the same.